This film is presented in its original uncut version. It is rated TV MALSV. It is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
What's up with y'all out there? It's your boy Drunkman Dez coming at you with another video. Yeah, I know it has been a while since I made a video, give my own commentary or whatnot. But I messed around and fucked my damn phone up. And I refused to use the other phone that AT&T sent me because it's a piece of shit, which is the phone I'm using now. I dropped that damn phone and the screen just went black. And I said, well, damn, that's the end of that. So what I've been doing, anyway, I've been compiling information. I've been sitting in the background watching shit, seeing how shit unfold, conducting some social media experiments and all that shit, you know. And it's a situation that is up right now that everybody's going crazy over. Jeffrey Dahmer. The Netflix docuseries of Jeffrey Dahmer. I am so surprised as to how many people never even knew about Jeffrey Dahmer or what he done. Him as well as a lot of other serial killers out there. Jeffrey Dahmer did some ill ass shit, but you know it started from somewhere and it ended up right there where he was at. So you see the little lineup I got right here. You see some high-profile serial killers right here. I'm not going to be detailing nothing about those guys right there, those individuals, as you see. But there's one particular individual that I came across back in 2011. Okay? That's when I first started actually studying up on, reading about stuff like that, about serial killers. Because I want to know what makes them tick. And, you know, when we were all young, growing up, you know, people used to tell us scary stories and shit. And there was one particular one about the boogeyman. And we know the boogeyman is fictional. But as a kid, you got all that shit going on in your mind, I'll be goddamn, that shit ain't fiction. But in actuality, there was a serial killer out there. Way back when, over 100 years ago. He was considered the boogeyman of that era. His name was Albert Fish, okay? And he was a cannibal as well. And this shit is so sinister, I'm telling you. You know, that shit had me like, damn, I need to see what the fuck going on with the rest of these serial killers. You know? I mean, it's so many. But it's the high-profile ones that actually take the news by storm. Get shit popping. You see this 8 picture lineup right here. Charles Manson, David Berkowitz. That's the son of Sam. He did his killings in the 1970s. We got Henry Lee Lucas. Henry Lee Lucas, he had a homeboy / lover because he was gay and he was in and out of jail a lot, majority of his time. And he said that he committed over 100 crimes, which, well, over 100 murders. Him and his gay lover. And the police felt it was all cap, but a lot of serial killers do that. They say they killed some people, but then they try to say they killed a whole bunch of them. So the police wasn't buying his story or nothing like that. So they just kept the shit like, all right, it is what it is. Hold on, let me see something real quick. Okay. Make sure I'm still recording. And right there, you see Jeffrey Dahmer. And you know, Jeff cannibalized the men that he came in contact with. Not like the first one that he ever killed. You know, the hitchhiker, hit him with the, scattered his ashes or whatever. He was spun around in circles and shit, and put his ashes all over the forest or the woods. I don't know why I keep saying ashes, but no, that's how he grounded the bone. Let me see. We got John Wayne Gacy. That's the killer clown, and he was a family man, and he was actually burying young men under his house. Crazy story. Richard Ramirez, that's the Night Stalker. Crazy situation with a Night Stalker with him. I mean, this man had a damn following. Women used to always go to see his proceedings, and they sit there, they wave at him and shit. He'll wave back eerily, But he did consider himself as the devil. Richard Speck, let me see. Richard Speck, I call him the tranny. I call him the tranny serial killer. When he was in prison, he started taking like female type, if he grew some breasts and all that shit. Terrible, but he killed a lot of these nurses, I think, if I'm not mistaken. What I'm doing, I'm going off my brain because I learned a lot about these serial killers, so there's a lot of stuff running through my brain. But I know these individuals, what they done, and the sad thing is that when I'm not thinking about it, some more information will pop right back up, but it is what it is. But yeah, Richard Speck, I think he did kill a lot of nurses and stuff like that, and he went to jail or prison, and he just, hey, look, I'm a product of this environment, I think he was executed. We got Ted Bundy, one of the most smartest, charismatic, easygoing serial killers that you never see coming. His shit was so ill that he represented himself. And the judge said that goddamn he did such a good job. Hey, if it wasn't the shit that he done, that judge wouldn't mind practicing with this guy. Oh my God. But, we can go on for days, you know what I'm saying? Ed Gein. You know that movie Psycho, American Psycho? Or, Bates Motel? Boom, there you go, Ed Gein. You know what I'm saying? He was making human lamps. Like Leatherface on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. Shit like that. Very sadistic, you know what I'm saying? See, look, boom. Yeah, I know when the police went inside his house, he lived with his mama and stuff like that, but mama passed away, but that's the type of shit that police found him. And right there's not a mannequin. He took that goddamn, whoever he killed, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's that lady from I think from Walgreens back in the day, he went and he killed. I'm not pretty much sure if that's her, but you see that's a real image, yeah. Took her skin off. Whoever the lady was took the skin off and put it up there like that. Like a lampshade or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah. The one who everybody's so captivated about right now. I mean, he did some ill-ass shit. And his story is so fucked up. He came from a decent family home. But then, no, it wasn't as decent as many thought. But he was left to his own devices. And we saw how that shit turned out. But right now, situation at hand, you see right there, that's the boogeyman. This is what we're going to be talking about tonight. His name is Albert Fish. Howard Albert Fish. Or we can say Hamilton, Hamilton Howard Albert Fish. He was an American serial killer and rapist, child molester, and a cannibal. He committed at least 3 child murders from July 1924 to June 1928. He was also known as the Gray Man, the Werewolf of Wisteria, the Brooklyn Vampire, oh yeah, the Moon Maniac, and the Boogeyman. He was born in Washington, D.C., 1870, all right? Whew, yeah, he was married. Believe it or not. But his wife left him for another man, and it's a whole bunch of shit behind. Oh my God. So he had kids and stuff like that. When we get further on to the thing, he had kids, but he was actually gay. You know what I'm saying? So being gay back in that day, pretty taboo. He was in the military, Navy, You know, he ran across some of them Navy men. Oh my God, man. I mean, his story is fucked up, you know. But that's what we're talking about today. And one crazy thing, you know, he always self-mutilated too. So him being in pain, it's nothing. This man actually inserted, he put sewing needles into his body. You know what I'm saying? Bruh, he had this type of belt with some nails in it, slapping himself on the back. Like, trust me. Albert Fish was something, man, dude. He doing shit to himself. And like, let me see. I think when he was in jail or something like that, and he said he had trouble laying down and sitting, and that's when they discovered, I think the x-ray or something, and they discovered like 30 fucking needles inside his groin area. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. It's crazy. I mean, dude, this dude was so thrown off, he even ate his own shit. Bro, he used to burn himself with hot irons and pokers and shit. I mean, this is a real crazy ass nutcase, man. And they conducted what? You know, they diagnosed him as psychosis, mentally ill like a motherfucker. Yeah, no. But they said he was suffering from psychosis, but he said he felt that God was commanding him to torture and sexually mutilate children. That's the gray man. That's the boogeyman. And shortly before his abduction of Grace Budd, he attempted to test his implements of hell on a child he had been molesting named Cyril Quinn. And Albert Fish, he wrote letters. Okay? So I'm going to read a letter. And I'm going to let y'all know right now, it's going to trigger some of y'all. If y'all don't want to hear this type of content, please exit the premises right now. Because from this point on, it's about to get real. I'm not going to go on about his history. I'm going to put a video up, possibly a link, so you can go in and check it out. But what I'm doing right now, I'm going to be reading these letters, okay? That's what I'm going to be doing. He was something serious. So we're going to get to this letter about Cyril. And this is what he said, okay? He said, I brought him to Riker Avenue Dumps. There is a house that stands alone, not far from where I took him. I took the boy there, stripped him naked, and tied his hands and feet and gagged him with a piece of a dirty rag I picked up off the dump. Then I buried his clothes, threw his shoes in the dump. Then I walked back and took the trolley to 59th Street at 2 a.m. and walked from there to home. On the next day, about 2 p.m., I took tools, a good heavy cat o' nine tails. I don't know what cat o' nine tails are, but hey, homemade, short handle, cut one of my belts in half, slit these halves in 6 strips about 8 inches long. I whipped his bare behind till the blood ran down his legs. I cut off his ears, nose, slit his mouth from ear to ear, gouged out his eyes. He was dead then. I stuck the knife in his body and held his mouth to his body. No, and held my mouth, held my mouth to his body and drank his blood. I picked up 4 old potato sacks and gathered a pile of stones. Then I cut him up. I had a grip with me. I put his nose, ears, and a few slices of his belly in that grip. Then I cut through the middle of his body, just below the belly button. Then through his legs about 2 inches below and behind. I put in my grip with a lot of paper. I cut off the head, feet, arms, hands, and legs below the knee. I put in sacks weighed with stones, tied the ends, and threw them into pools of slimy water. You will see all along the road going to North Beach. Man, these details. I came home with my meat. had the front of his body I liked best, his monkey and his peewees, and a nice little fat behind to roast in the oven and eat. God, boy, I'm trying to tell you. Whew. I made a stew out of his ears, nose, pieces of his face, and belly. I put onions, carrots, turnips, celery, salt and pepper on that thing. And it was good, too. Then I split the cheeks from his behind open, cut off his monkey and his peewees, and washed them first. These details are so fucking graphic, but this is how it's going. I put strips of bacon around each cheek of his behind and put them in the oven. Then I picked 4 onions, and when the meat had roasted about a quarter of an hour, I poured about a pint of water over it for gravy and put in the onions. At frequent intervals, I basted his behind with a wooden spoon so the meat would be nice and juicy. In about 2 hours, it was nice and brown and cooked through. I never ate any roast turkey that tasted half as good as his sweet little behind did. I ate every bit of the meat in about 4 days. His little monkey was as sweet as a nut. But his peewees I could not chew. Threw them in the toilet and disposed of them too. Wow. Albert Fish. Man, this dude here. And you know the crazy thing is that he was given testimonies about himself. Why I say testimonies? Talking to the policeman, okay? And the policeman felt that he's fucking lying. Trust me. Because the shit is outrageous. This is the 1930s when they finally got to him. You know what I'm saying? So, it's hard to believe a guy like this dude right here, capable of these monstrosities. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Albert Fish, the boogeyman. I'm going to read one more. Okay? And this is the one that actually made him famous. Okay? He wrote a letter to the family of a child he killed and ate. Her name was Grace Budd. Okay? Okay. I'm pulling up this situation right here on my phone. All right. So, we're about to get into the details of Grace Budd. Okay? On May 25th, 1928, Albert Fish read an ad in the newspaper that was posted by a young man named Edward Budd. And then he decided that he would meet and he would murder Budd. I'm sorry. Fish, by then an accomplished rapist and murderer, visited the Budd's family under the pretense of offering the man a job. But when he met his 10-year-old sister, Grace, he decided to change his intended victim. So he was actually going to get somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Because, hey, he's attracted to men. But you know what? He made a fucking exception. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to read the following. The letter that Fish sent anonymously to Grace Budd's mother after killing and eating the little girl. This is the document that eventually led to the murderer's arrest. Yep. Because when he wrote the letter and he sent it through, and we can say it's forensic type shit that they used back in the day to trace it back to him. You know what I'm saying? But this right here what got him done. Okay? So, once again, for those who don't want to hear this type of shit, click off now, because it's about to get really, really, really real on the battlefield with this shit right here. Okay? The story goes like this. My dear Miss Budd, in 1894, a friend of mine shipped as a deckhand on the steamer Tacoma named Captain John Davis. They sailed from San Francisco to Hong Kong, China. On arriving there, he and 2 others went ashore and got drunk. When they returned, the boat was gone. At that time, there was a famine in China, Meat of any kind was $1 to $3 a pound. So great was the suffering among the very poor that all children under 12 were sold for food in order to keep others from starving. A boy or girl under 14 was not safe in the street. You could go in any shop and ask for steak, chops, or stew meat. That's a picture of Grace Budd right there. All right. So, part of the naked body of a boy or girl would be brought out and just what you wanted to cut from it. A boy or girl's behind, which is the sweetest part of the body and is sold as veal cutlets, brings the highest price. We need to research that shit for real. I don't, you know what I'm saying? But this letter he wrote, I'm just reading what he said. Yeah, no. All right. So, back to the story. John stayed there so long that he acquired a taste for human flesh. On his return to New York, he stole 2 boys, one 7, one 11. He took them to his home, stripped them naked, and tied them up in a closet, and then burned everything they had on. Several times, every day and night, he spanked them, tortured them, to make their meat good and tender. First, he killed the 11-year-old boy because he had the fattest ass and, of course, the most meat on it. Every part of his body was cooked and eaten except the head, bones, and guts. He was roasted in the oven, all of his ass. Boiled, broiled, fried, and stewed. The little boy was next, and he went the same way. At that time, I, Albert Fish, was living at 409 East 100th Street. He told me so often how good human flesh was, and I made up my mind to taste it. Okay. On the pretense of taking her, now he's back to, on the pretense of taking her to a party, you said yes, she could go. And I took her to an empty house in Westchester I had already picked out. When I got there, I told her to remain outside. She picked wildflowers as I went upstairs and stripped off all my clothes. I knew if I did not, I would get blood on them, okay? When all was ready, I went to the window and called on her, "Hey, come on in. I got something to show you." Then I hid in the closet until she was in the room. When she saw me naked, she began to cry and tried to run down the stairs. I grabbed her as she said she would tell her mama. "That's not going to work today. I got you." First, I stripped her naked. How she did kick, bite, and scratch. I choked her to death, then cut her in small pieces so I could take the meat to my rooms, cook, and eat. How sweet and tender her little ass was roasted in the oven. It took me 9 days to eat her entire body. I did not fuck her though I could if I wished, but she died a virgin. Grace Budd, 1918, 1928. Now, that story that I read from the letter, I mean, we don't know if that situation was ever corroborated, the Chinese famine or whatever, but when he described Grace Budd's death, the description of her death, that's pretty much accurate. Police used the information on the stationery paper Fish used to locate and detain him. They used some forensics to get this man. You know what I'm saying? From the letter that he wrote. All right? But he never denied the crime. Never denied the crime. Okay? He was executed by the electric chair in 1936. in New York Sing Sing Correctional Facility. That right there is Albert Fish, the boogeyman of Westchester. I seen a little insert that I read a while ago where when he went to New York, he was going to target minorities, specifically black kids, because he knew how racism was. The local authorities wouldn't care. Initially, that's what he thought. Okay? This man, there's no words to put in, I just can't believe it. When I read this story and I seen it, I couldn't believe it. So you know how I do. I research the researcher, and there's so much, A lot of shit that goes on out here in this world, we feel that, once we come across it, man, that shit could be going on. But in actuality, it probably is. When you see the boogeyman, there he is. It's your boy Drunkman Dez. Share my content, put it on out there, comment, like, subscribe. Help my channel grow. And if you open up a channel, I will follow you for sure. I'm about this thing. Y'all be easy now, you hear?
His flesh upon him shall have pain, and his soul within him shall mourn.
It always seemed to me that I had to offer a child for sacrifice.
His crimes haunt the nightmares of generations.
It took me 9 days to eat her entire body.
His life was one of unparalleled perversity.
I shoved needles into my belly, legs, and hip.
His unbelievable true story has been called the most shocking.
I always had the desire to inflict pain on others, and to have others inflict pain on me. I always seemed to enjoy everything that hurt.
From the director of H.H. Holmes' America's First Serial Killer comes the most horrific true crime story ever told. Albert Fish. In sin, he found salvation.